Have you ever wondered where the chicken you eat comes from? The obvious answer is from eggs, but not just any eggs. These eggs are different than the ones you buy in the store because they come from a different type of chicken. So where do these eggs come from? There is a little-known segment of the poultry industry that raises the parents of chickens we eat, known as broiler breeders. The name is fairly self-explanatory. The chickens are bred to produce broilers, the term for chickens grown for chicken meat products. The product from broiler breeder operations is fertile eggs. Commercial hatcheries receive the eggs, which are then incubated and hatched to produce broiler chicks. These broiler chicks are raised on commercial broiler farms for the meat market. Let's take a closer look at the details. In order to meet consumer demand for a steady supply of chicken meat products, chickens have been carefully bred and selected for improved feed efficiency, growth rate, and breast yield. Only the best of the best are used as parents of future generations of chickens, because one breeding pair can affect approximately 40,000 broilers. Broilers have 4 grandparents, shown here as A, B, C, and D. Lines A and B are crossed to make an AB male broiler breeder. Lines C and D are crossed to make a CD female broiler breeder. The ABCD offspring are broilers. This breeding system ensures that broilers have all the necessary qualities to produce nutritious, safe, and top quality meat. The Canadian poultry industry is committed to producing chicken products that meet the highest standards for food safety and quality through biosecurity measures. In order to maintain a healthy flock, diseases must be prevented from entering the barn from an outside source. Did you know that chicken barns have a dress code? A change of boots and clothing are necessary. Boot dips are also used to sterilize footwear, and you need to wash your hands before entering. These farms maintain biosecurity by controlling outside traffic on the farm and ensuring only authorized people enter the barns. Another thing farmers do to ensure the health of the flock is practice the concept of all in and all out. An entire flock will come into the barn at the same time, and the flock will be depopulated or be taken out of the barn at the same time. This way, the barn can be cleaned and disinfected between flocks. Broiler breeders arrive on the farm as day-old chicks. The chicks are usually delivered by trucks and sometimes by plane, since they come from breeding farms outside of the country. What happens until these chicks are old enough to start laying eggs? There are 2 stages in a broiler breeder's life: rearing and breeding. Producers have separate barns called pullet barns, where the chicks are reared. Pullet is the technical term for a young female chicken before she starts to lay. For the first couple of days after the chicks arrive, they are provided with high light intensity and 23 hours of light per day to encourage eating and drinking. Since the desired product is fertile eggs, most of the chickens on broiler breeder farms are hens. At the hatchery, chicks are sorted and counted according to sex. Now for a quick chicken anatomy lesson. In birds, the reproductive and digestive tracts share a common exit, called the cloaca or vent. The chick's cloaca is everted and examined to determine its sex. Some chicks can be sexed by an easier method, called feather sexing, if the genetics of the strain is designed to allow this. In some strains, females grow their large wing feathers faster than the male chicks do. Once the chicks are separated and counted, approximately 1 male for every 10 females are sent to the breeder farm. Generally, males are raised separately from the females, as they have different body weight targets, which are met by feeding different amounts. They are typically raised separately until 22 weeks of age. After those first few days, light intensity is reduced to limit bird activity. Breeder chicks are typically fed as much food as they want for the first 3 to 4 weeks, or until they have reached a particular target body weight. Their diet consists of cereal grains, a protein source, and supplemented vitamins and minerals. Breeder diets are less nutrient dense than broiler diets, since breeders are raised on very slow growth rates. This rate does not make the growth rate potential of broilers. Fresh, clean water is provided in nipple drinker systems. Proper ventilation is crucial to maintaining a healthy, productive flock by providing clean air and keeping the litter dry. It is important to remove dust and control carbon dioxide and ammonia levels. Light traps are used to control the interior light environment by blocking any outside light. While they are young, birds are exposed to short days, approximately 8 hours in length. The young birds are called chicks until their down starts to be replaced by feathers. Flock uniformity is important throughout the production cycle. It is maintained by providing enough space for all the birds to eat at one time, so there is no competition at the feeders. Uniformity is desirable because this impacts how the hens begin to produce eggs. Hens are fed early in the morning after the lights come on. One management tool sometimes used to optimize the distribution of feed and uniformity is to provide the birds with 2 times the normal allocation on alternate days. Skip-a-day feeding allows the birds to fill up their digestive tracts at each feeding and maximize their intake. Most producers feed once per day using automatic feeding systems. Birds have to be weighed often to know how much to feed them and to monitor flock uniformity. Weighing can be done manually or automatically. Ideally, at least 50 birds should be weighed at a time to give accurate data of the entire flock. Automatic scales weigh the birds that jump on and record the weight remotely. These scales are good tools for observing small changes in growth among the flock. Specific amounts of feed are provided to ensure the birds are maintaining a certain growth rate. Because these birds are bred for rapid growth, it is necessary to limit their feed intake so they don't become obese and unhealthy. Their feed is in a mash form so that it is palatable to the birds, encouraging them to eat their allotted amount of feed. Hens are transferred to the laying barn before laying begins to allow them to adjust to the new environment. Males are usually introduced to the females approximately 1 week later. Flocks come with their own instruction manual that contains detailed management instructions, including what types of vaccines to use and when to use them. Generally, the birds are vaccinated several times throughout their lifetime. Photostimulation occurs after both sexes are in the barn. In nature, birds lay eggs when days are getting longer to take advantage of warm summer weather. The same principles apply to broiler breeder hens. Once the birds are of the appropriate body size and maturity, the lights in the barns are turned on for longer periods of time, stimulating the hens to begin laying eggs. Flocks are generally photostimulated at 22 to 23 weeks of age. Photostimulation can be done any time of the year because outside light is blocked out. Breeder laying barns typically have about 2/3 of the area covered by raised slats, made of wood or plastic. The waterers and the feeders for the females are placed on the slats. Manure falls through the slats and is left to be cleaned out at the end of the breeding cycle. The males and females have different feed requirements. It is important that they do not steal each other's feed. Male feeders hang from the roof in the scratch area at a height that is too high for the females to reach. Females have narrower heads compared to males, so the female feeders have closely spaced bars that are too narrow for males to reach in and steal the feed. It is important that the males and females spend time together in the scratch area of the barn for mating to occur. A male can mate many times in one day. Mating involves elaborate courtship behavior including pecking and scratching for feed and vocalization. Hens can store sperm for about 14 days, so it is not necessary for them to mate each day. Hens perform a post-coital fluff following mating. This behavior is believed to help draw the semen up the oviduct and help with fertilization. The ideal breeding male has an upright posture and adequate fleshing. Notice the difference between these two males. As the male ages, mating frequency decreases. Sometimes, when fertility throughout the flock starts to drop, some of the non-breeding males are removed and replaced with young males. This process is known as spiking a flock. The young males mate frequently, which is thought to stimulate older males to mate, resulting in improved levels of fertility. Just as the males have to be managed to maintain fertility, so do the females. Care must be taken to ensure that hens maintain a healthy body weight so they will have good egg production rates. Hens are fed a diet with sufficient calcium to make sure they produce quality eggshells. So how is the egg made? The yolk of the egg originates from the ovary, which consists of large and small follicles. Follicles are developed egg yolks in varying stages of maturity. The follicular hierarchy allows the hen to lay 1 egg per day. The dominant yolk will be released from the ovary and caught by the infundibulum. It travels down the oviduct where the egg white, or albumin, and shell membranes and shell are added. Overweight hens may experience excessive follicular development. This can cause the production of double-yolked eggs or the production of more than 1 egg per day, which is undesirable. These hens may develop problems with locomotion and health. A healthy hen's oviduct produces 1 egg per day, but when 2 eggs are formed in 1 day, the shell gland cannot adequately calcify either egg, resulting in shellless eggs. These eggs will not be sent to the hatchery. Nests are provided in the barn to give the hen a clean, private place to lay her eggs. Most nesting systems provide individual compartments for hens. However, some producers have colony nests, which accommodate up to 12 hens at one time. Barns have automatic egg gathering systems. Typically, these eggs roll away from the hens onto a fabric belt and are taken to a processing station in front of the barn. Eggs that are laid on the floor can become soiled and are likely to contaminate the hatch during incubation. By eliminating shadows and periodically walking the barns to move birds, producers can reduce the amount of floor eggs. Eggs are usually collected approximately 4 times a day to keep the belts free of eggs so they don't break against one another. Only high-quality eggs can be sent to the hatchery. Eggs which are cracked, broken, or dirty must be separated. The eggs are packed with the small end down, so that the air cell is positioned at the top of the eggs. The eggs are placed into trays that will be sent to the hatchery for incubation. The same trays from the farm can be placed directly in the incubator at the hatchery, eliminating the need for handling each egg again at the time of setting into incubators. Eggs must be stored between 16 and 18 degrees Celsius and under relatively high humidity to protect the new embryo within hatching eggs. Maximizing hatchability is important. This is the number of chicks hatched per egg set. This storage temperature range is much warmer than table eggs to ensure embryo survival, yet cool enough to temporarily halt embryo development. Eggs will be stored until they are picked up to be taken to the hatchery, which is usually twice a week. Once the eggs are warmed, embryo development begins again. So from day-old chicks to full-grown egg-producing parents, broiler breeders have a remarkable journey. Hatching egg producers continually ensure the supply of fertile eggs for broilers. These eggs eventually lead to the birds we eat.